tua, ut divitasque conscientia metui, et adicias por oratio non presumi, per Dominum nostrum Iesum Christum Filium tuum, qui tecum vivet et regnat, in unitate Spiritus Sancti Deus, per omnia saecula saeculorum. Lectio Epistolae Beati Pauli Apostoli a Corinthios. Fratres, notum vobis facio Evangelium, quod predicavi vobis, quod et accepistis, in quod statis per pote salvami, quod ratione predicaver in vobis, si tenetis, nisi frusta credidisti, pravivien in vobis in primis podet accepiri, quoniam Christus mortus est pro peccatis nostris, secundum Scriptura, et quia sepultus est, et quia resurrexit tertia die, secundum Scriptura, et quia visus est cefe, et post hoc decim, deinde visus et plusquam, vingentis fratribus simul, ex quibus multi manent usque adhuc, quidam autem dormierunt. Deinde visus est Jacobo, deinde apostolis omnibus, novissime autem omnium tanquam abortivo, visus est et mihi, ego enim sum minimus apostolorum, qui non sum dignus vocari apostoli, intermedios fines de capoleo, et aducunt eis surdum et mutum, et te precabant oreum, ut imponat illi manum, et apprehendens eum de turba seor sum, misit digitos suos in auriculas eius, et exquens petiget lingua meius, et suscipiens in celum, ingemuit et aetili, effeta forestada perire, et statim aperte sunt aures eius, et solutum est vinculum linguae eius, et loquebatur recte, et precepit illis, neque dicere, quantum autem eis precipiebat, tantum magis plus predicaba, et amplius admirabantur dicentes, bene omnia feci, et surdus fecit audire, et mutus loqui. The Mass today is offered pro populo, that is for all our parishioners. So last week's parish festival was a wonderful success. The food, fellowship, entertainment was very enjoyable, and we were blessed with great weather as opposed to today. So thanks to all our parishioners who served at the booths, provided entertainment, helped run and organize the event, and a special thanks to Carrie Whitney for her leadership in organizing the event. Now, registration for CCD begins today. So to register your children for Sunday Catechism and/or preparation for First Communion and Confirmation, forms are available in the back of the church, at the office, and online on our parish website. Classes will begin Sunday, September 12th. Information meetings after the Masses for parents will be on Sunday, August 22nd. Tuesday evening, our Summer Catechism series continues. The topic for this week is the Sacrament of Holy Orders, Priestly Ordination, what is it and what it does? Presented by Deacon Dave. The presentation will be at 7 p.m. in the Ministry Center. And we welcome those who are visiting us today. Hope your stay in Alaska is a blessed one. In the old calendar, we celebrated St. Dominic on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, but the rest of the parish is celebrating him today. So at the end of the Mass, after our recessional hymn, we'll come back and then we'll do a blessing with the relic of St. Dominic. So you're welcome to receive a blessing with the relic, just please don't grab the reliquary. Thank you. So what makes something special? I guess we could ask in the same way then, well, what makes something holy? Spiritually speaking. That there should be something special, that there should be something holy is obvious at first sight, it seems, to any reasonable mind. Though we might argue what exactly makes something or someone special or holy, but that idea in itself seems to be somewhat heretical in our own days. Now, there was that wonderfully subversive animated children's movie, The Incredibles, which I'm not sure could be made today, which dealt with superheroes who were beaten down by lawsuits and social pressure to give up their superpowers, to give up whatever made them super, whatever made them special, so that they were forced to become average citizens. Now, one of the problems during the movie is that various members of this family, the Incredible family, begin to chafe under the weight of the oppressive societal non-expectations. At one point, a young boy hero is told by his mother, also a superhero, "Everyone is special, Dash." To which he retorts, which is another way of saying that no one is. This is ironically mirrored by the villain of the movie, who seeks to kill off all the superheroes and give everyone the so-called superpowers by making technology that would grant everyone a superpower, saying evilly and gleefully, when everyone is super, no one will be. The villain is almost a perfect analog of our society these days, as it seeks to beat down the church and the faith by lawsuits and social pressure into giving up anything that might make her special or holy or capable of speaking about issues, especially moral issues that might get in the way of so-called progress or the hyper-egalitarianism that we suffer through in our own days. Neither men nor women can be special now since, well, anyone can be a man or a woman, or they can call themselves whatever. Whatever makes anyone special, by nature, must be destroyed and shamed, replaced by someone who is special, but special only by the fact that they are decidedly not special. Sadly, that silliness has invaded our sanctuaries and our churches. Think of how often we hear that churches should have not stained glass, but clear windows, so that everyone can see God's marvelous creation. In other words, let's make the worship space not special, so that everything is special, which is another way of saying nothing is special. So little wonder that so many are abandoning the mainline Protestant congregations, or even the more saccharine Catholic parishes. No, the idea of stained glass is decidedly against this. It's a countersign. Even the more basic stained glass that we had in our church before, which you can still see the remnants of here in the Eucharistic Chapel, was simply not a nod to tradition, but a recognition of the wisdom of the tradition that says that there is something special in this church, that God has set this place and this time especially right here and right now for a worship that originates not from the universal specialness of modern man, but from the true specialness and sanctity that is of God alone. Stained glass is a kind of sacramental that lifts our minds and hearts decidedly away from earth to heaven, even as it illustrates the truly special people that we call saints, who were likewise set apart from the rest of society. As the introit sang so joyfully and defiantly, Deus in loco sancto, God is in his holy place. If no place is holy by any definition, then anything goes in any place. Then nobody has a right to get mad at the young people who decided to take smiling selfies at Auschwitz, or those who played Pokemon Go at the tomb of the unknown soldier. After all, if no place is holy, then no place is special. Every place is the same, right? So you can collect your happy little virtual creatures in whatever place delights your heart. Now, there is a folk song, sometimes used as a hymn I hear in some places, and the song is posted ironically as a sacred science song more than a holy thing, but it's called Holy Now, which sings, when I was a boy, each week on Sunday, we would go to church and pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today, the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Which sounds to me like the bad guy in The Incredibles 1. But let's continue to a part where it's almost ironically sad, saying, wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. Which is funny, in a sense, this whole sacred science thing, which seeks to tear down all miracles by saying, well, in a sense, everything is a miracle. But that sense of wonder, that sense of knowing that there's something special, can't be destroyed altogether, even in the most atheistic or agnostic science worshiper. Think of the famous atheist scientist and TV personality Carl Sagan. He had a wonderful sense of wonder about the whole cosmos and creation. He lamented, and I think at least Catholics wholeheartedly agree, that many so-called scientists lose their sense of wonder And I imagine he means as they get beaten down by the demands of academia and corporate America, which is why he hypothesizes that this is why so many new discoveries are done by the young. Wonder is, in itself, a wonder. What would non-spiritual matter have to do with wonder? What purpose serves wonder? Sagan also famously remarked that we are all stardust and that we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. But why? Why would the cosmos care to know anything? Cosmos isn't a thing. It's not a unit. It is a bunch of different parts, according to the scientists. There's nothing really holding it together. Now, it makes no difference then if we are cavemen scared in our caves or flying boldly through the stars in futuristic ships, if it is all a miracle. We may be stardust, but then so are cockroaches. They're forged from the same star material. In a sense, plutonium is far more an exotic star matter. It has to be created under much more special conditions than your basic carbon and nitrogen and oxygen that make up most of us. Should we worship plutonium as being more advanced stardust? Why aren't there plutonium-based beings out there then advancing through the galaxies? They are much more special stardust. Now, St. Paul preaches a message that, yes, is special because Jesus is God, and God is altogether different and holy. God, through the person and history of Jesus Christ, is what makes it special or holy. If it is not of him, then to St. Paul it is as nothing. In the end, just dust. Now, St. Paul, when he's not busy ripping his hair out and pleading for some Christians to just please act normal for just like 5 minutes, loves to lose himself in the wonder that is Christ, and who in his special and holy mercy took him, St. Paul, apart from society, making him special, but he was stressed not by his own merit, but only by Christ's grace. All the things that Jesus does in the Gospels today, anyone can at least outwardly do. The most determined atheist or skeptic can lay hands on you. They can touch your mouth or your lips. They might even say the very words Ephphatha to you. But in the end, it would not matter. This is, I think, why we have a crisis in ministry and priesthood. When everyone says, well, anyone can say a few words, anyone can wave his or her hands at the altar. We seem to have really a ministry of almost going through the motions. It's not a relational ministry. It's not a ministry in relation to Jesus Christ. It's simply who can perform in a perfunctory manner what they need to do. Again, anyone can kiss your wife. Why does it matter who does it? The same kind of idea. Now, outwardly but inwardly, then, nothing happens. Well, we had a wonderful event yesterday where we took young Mr. Madison Hayes. We had the bishop lay hands upon him, and that made him special and holy. Again, not in himself, but by a special sacramental grace from Christ. In this act, Christ separated him to himself and for himself. But when we start looking to see more about what any other person can outwardly do that is the same, then we lose sight of the inward specialness and holiness of the ordained priesthood. Then, when we look at Madison Hayes, we would see nothing more than a momentary ecclesiastical agent that is tasked with carrying out some duties. In my mind, this is maybe why we don't have more vocations here in our Archdiocese of Anchorage, Juneau. To the more secular earth-worshiping mindset, we should be overflowing with vocations. I mean, go outside. How much more can you get of creation? Creation is right in your face. You're surrounded by it. So where are they? if we don't recover a sense of wonder and the holiness and the specialness of God in our worship, then we will die off as a diocese. It's not a critique, it's a warning. And that begins with Deus in loco sancto. God is in his holy place, God who makes men of one mind to dwell in our house. Or as another psalm says, if God does not build a house, in vain do its builders labor. We have to start with making this house God's house, the house that God builds, special, and treating it as such. We have to start with making whatever we separate or offer to God, whether this place, ourselves, our time, our prayer, our gifts, precisely special. Again, not simply because they're ours or come from us or happen to be our idea, but because it is God who accepts them and makes them his own. If you wish, they even came from him first, inspiring them in us or giving us those gifts to give back to him. So we have to make liturgy then beautiful again everywhere. Not simply special because every liturgy is somehow special, but make the liturgy special because it is precisely centered and focused on God first, where everything is the best that we can offer God, where it is all for God and not simply a form of mutually self-affirming therapeutic deism, but rather a grace-filled life and lifestyle-changing conversion from this stardust world to the God who created it all out of nothing from his infinite and holy goodness. We need to shift the focus and locus away from ourselves as ourselves to God, specifically to God acting through some mere stardust that we might call a priest to offer and effect the timeless sacrifice once and for all offered on Golgotha, to God giving his very self in the Holy Eucharist to even more mere stardust. Lord, what is man that you care for him, man that you should keep him in mind, the psalmist wonders. As he continues, yet you have made him little less than a God, with glory and honor you crown him. This is why we come to worship, because God has called us for our own good and blessing to come give him thanks for that wonder, to lift us up from being mere stardust refuse, to lift us up to the very heavens themselves. Is it special? Is it holy? If we do not behave as we believe, then why should anyone else? The bad guy in The Incredibles might as well have been a modern liturgist, destroying anything that might be special or super about the Mass, and then just putting it all out in the world for everything to share in. But I refuse to go along. I refuse to deny what is due to God, not merely as creator, but as God who is all goodness, all holiness, and yes, all specialness in himself. In the name of the Father, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. gratia sagere, Domine Sancte Pater Omnipotens Eterne Deus, qui in tue sancte ecclesiae decorum aptutamen apostolicam vivendi formam, per beatissimum patriarchum Dominicum renovare voluisti, ipse enim genitricis filii tui, semper ope sufultus, predicatione sua, conspecuit heresens, fide puliges gentium in salutem instituit, et in numeras anima Christo lucri feci. Sapientia meus narrant populi, eusque laudes nunciat ecclesia, et ideo cum angelis et archangelis, cum tronis et dominationibus, cumque omni militia celestis et certitus, hymnum gloriae Tuae animus sine fine dicentes. Sanctus, 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 Dominus Deus Sabaoth, lenis in celi perpetua, gloria Hosanna in excelsis. saecula saeculorum. Oremus, leceti sanitaribus moniti, et divina institutione formati, audemus dicere, Pater noster, qui es in celis, sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimitte nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimittimus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera nos a malo. Per omnia saecula saeculorum. Amen. Pax Domini, sit semper vobiscum. Et nunc in tuo. Agnus Dei. Agnus Dei. Ecce agnus Dei, ecce catholic peccatum mundi. Domine Deus, tua substantia, primitis fruum tuarum, et impleantur horea tua saturitate, vino corpularia reluminata. Dominus vobiscum.
Et cum spiritu tuo.
Oremus. Pensiamus quesimus Domine, cui perceptione sacramenti subsidium mentis et corpori, ut in utroque salvati, celesis revelit plenitudine gloriemur, per Dominum nostrum Iesum Christum Filium Tuum, qui tecum vivet et regnat, in unitate Spiritus Sancti Deus, per omnia saecula saeculorum. Dominus vobiscum.
Et cum spiritu tuo.
Benedictus Deum, Gentilis Patris et Filii Spiritus Sancti, descendat super vos et maneat semper. Dominus vobiscum. Initium Sancti Evangelii secundum Ioannem. In principio erat verum, et verum erat apud Deum, et Deus erat verum, hoc erat in principio apud Deum. Omnia per ipsum facta sunt, et sine ipso factum est nihil. Quod factum est in ipso vita erat, et vita erat lux hominum, et lux in tenebris lucet, et tenebrae eam non comprenderunt. Fuit homo missos Deo qui nomina Ioannes, hic venit in testimonium, ut testimonium peribere de lumine, ut omnes crerent per illum. Non erat ire lux, et testimonium peribere de lumine. Erat lux vera, quae illuminat omnem hominem rientem in hoc mundum. In mundo erat, in mundus per ipsum factus est, et mundus eum non cognovit. In propria venit, et sui eum non ceperunt. Quoquod altum ceperunt eum Deus potestatum Filios Dei fieri, isque crerunt in nomine eius, qui non ex sanguinibus, nec ex voluntate carnis, nec ex voluntate viri, sed ex Deo natis sunt. Et verum caro factum est. Et habitavit in nobis, et vidimus gloriam eius, gloriam quasi unigenitia Patre, plenum gratiae veritatis.